If you enjoy Draw and Paint What You Regret on YouTube and would like to show your support, you can find Cash App and Venmo information below. By all means, this channel is free to watch and learn from. Enjoy! Hey young artists, welcome back to another tutorial or video for my abstract drawing 1 class. So I'm really excited because this class has been doing really good in my opinion, just with what they are creating and how they're creating things and thinking through their composition. So I'm really excited about that. We are moving into week 7, so this is assignment number 7. And so that means that our session is coming to a close very soon. We have 1 more week and 1 more project left. So just really quick, when it comes to this actual project, we are going to, there's some things that I definitely have to talk about. We are going to use the element of volume and mass that's here, but you guys, we have already gone through how would you say, all of our principles of design. So when it comes to that, you guys, the reason why we've gone through all of that is because I was doubling up on some principles of design. So my students still want to practice with some principles of design with their element of arts. So when it comes to this project right now, you guys, I am basically using some principles of designs that we've already talked about in these demo videos. So contrast we've already talked about, and scale we already talked about and also created artwork for. So when it comes to contrast, you guys, contrast is, it's pretty much opposites. It's opposites of elements. So one of the probably easiest way to think about contrast is white and black. You know, if you have white and black in a composition, it's high in contrast, right? It's the opposites. It could be different contrasts of texture. So let's say I have a smooth texture object in my composition next to a fuzzy texture object. So that's what contrast is. When it comes to scale, so scale is pretty much, you can have something large in scale next to something small in scale. That also aids in contrast as well. I wanted to just kind of repeat that because that is what we are going to be doing when it comes to our element of art and principle of design. So you guys, give my iPad a minute because it's trying to focus and I'm like, I'm not moving, so why is it trying to focus so hard? Bear with me. Yes, I should fix my functions, but I haven't gotten there yet. All right, so when it comes to some of the, I do definitely want to talk about elements of art with volume and mass. The quickest and easiest definition that I always try and give my students is mass is pretty much weight, and volume is how much an object is taking up space. So it deals with space. So mass, it could be the weight of an object, or, and this, you guys, this is something that I've added in. It's not set in stone, because I do believe that when you think about weight, it can lead into composition as well. Sometimes within a composition, one side of a composition can have more weight than the other side. That's not 100% under mass, but it kind of gives you an idea how you can kind of tie that into your composition as well. And once again, this is just my opinion. It's not nothing that is set in stone. When it comes to volume, you guys, it's how much space an object takes up. So that can be how much space the object is taking up in your composition. It can be maybe the object that's next to it is not taking up as much space. That contrast, right? That's there. Something big, something small when it comes to how much space something is taking up in your composition. So another thing is we are going to go over composition. There's a few more composition structures or armatures and things that I definitely want to talk about. When it comes to this list, I'm talking about these 3 for this project, but I'm going to talk about more with my students in our lecture in class. But when it comes to composition, some of these are not, they're not really like composition structures, but they're things that you can think about in a more simplified way within a composition, like abstraction. Sometimes students have a hard time getting out ideas. And if they're coming into a thumbnail with just some abstract lines or shapes, possibly even forms, that would definitely help them start to plug in some ideas. As far as maybe you start with abstract shapes, right? And maybe you start to plug in figures into those abstract shapes. So those are some things that you can use abstraction to aid you in some realism, if that makes sense, or representation. And I think that is a type of structure that is usable for artists who are just kind of having a hard time creating something or getting an idea for something. When it comes to intervals, so this 100%, it's not a composition structure, but I think it's very important within a composition. Let's say, for example, you have a horizontal composition, right? Sometimes you may hear a horizontal composition structure, or you may hear a horizontal bar. But if you have a horizontal composition, intervals are very important because it deals with space and size. So if, let's say, you have a horizontal composition of trees, these trees are all the same size, all the same height. The space that they're taking up are the rhythms that's in between, the space that's in between them within this horizontal composition is very it's regular and not irregular, right? And I discussed this in the past video, so if you're kind of confused with some of the terms I'm using, just kind of go back to the video on rhythm. But if you have a consistency of the same size, same spacing on a horizontal composition, that could be quite boring to your viewer. If you come in with intervals, meaning that you have highs and lows, that means you have some trees that are tall, some trees that are short, some trees that are wide, some trees that are narrow in this horizontal composition. That's going to be a lot more interesting. So it's a contrast of size, or a contrast of scale. So that's going to be a little bit more interesting to the viewer's eye when you are composing. So intervals are very important. Actually, a lot of composition classes that I took as a student, 9 times out of 10 talked about intervals. So it's very important within a composition as well. Clarity of shape. So if you really just don't have a clear idea of what you're going to do or how you want to compose, really thinking about the shape in your design of your overall shape in a composition is very important. Our shapes connecting together is very important. And the reason why I'm saying that is when I was a student, and hopefully I can explain this properly without visuals, but when I was a student, I did a lot of portrait drawings and paintings. And what I used to love having a squared format, doing a portrait. And I used to always love lighting my portrait where the cast shadow, the shape of the cast shadow, was a part of the overall portrait. So I was looking at the overall shape of not only the face, but the shape connecting to the cast shadow, that silhouette. So silhouette within a composition is very important. Having clear, simplified shapes also is important because your viewer will understand what they are looking at, even if it's just a silhouette. So clarity of shapes within your composition is also very important. You don't want to get too confusing with your shapes. Or if you're attaching shapes, you want to make sure you're thinking it through the overall silhouette of that composition within the format of the paper format. So I wanted to just talk a bit about that because all of this is very important. It's kind of a lot to think about. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, and I know I'm moving into a long intro, but I have kind of had a hard time with trying to figure out what I wanted to do and getting my ideas out, because it was just a lot of eggs I was juggling in my basket, trying to make sure that I am at very least doing all three things that I'm asking my students to do as well. So while I'm on that, let's talk about my composition. So I have two compositions here, and then also because I want to still use gray paper, but I also want to use gray paper with grayscale markers, as well as I wanted to do thumbnails on this actual paper and see how my values are going to look within the composition. So when it comes to values, I'm only doing my best to deal with maybe 4 values. You guys, sorry, there is a gnat or fly, and hopefully he is not in the video because he might be. So I'm gonna try my best to keep him away. But sorry for that tangent. But when it comes to this paper, I wanted to see what my thumbnails actually look like on the paper with my 4 values. So although I have markers that has more than 4 values, really I'm only using a white, a light gray, a dark gray, and also a black. So I just want to make sure that I wanted to visually see what this looks like on gray paper before I actually start the actual demo for it. So I wanted to talk a bit about that. That way, if you're looking at this, you're seeing my actual thumbnails and ideas and notes on top of my thumbnail on my gray sheet of paper, and a little bit about materials while I am talking about what I'm using. So of course I'm using gray paper for this project, as well as I want to use my Prismacolor grayscale markers, and then also I'm using color pencils as well. So I have my white and black color pencil as well as my Prismacolor erase pencil. So once again, an range of my Prismacolor grayscale markers, and it's just ranging from values of light gray to dark gray, or light gray. It's not really black. This is not really a black. It's probably reading black, but it's not. But it's, you know, a light gray to a dark gray. And then of course I have my Prismacolor erase pencil is what I'm going to use when I am getting down my sketch or my gesture or my drawing linear structure of the composition. And then of course I have my white and black Prismacolor Premier pencils. May or may not use them, I don't know. And I have my Jerry's Art Aroma jet black pencil, which once again I need to find out the principle. Not the principle, but what is the make of this pencil, but I think it's very similar to a color pencil. Also I have a peel off China marker, and it's white and it's by Sharpie. I like these because they're a little bit, and hopefully you can see, hopefully the camera is catching it, but they are a little bit more opaque on gray paper than the Prismacolor white. So that's why I like pulling these out, just to get a little bit more opaqueness if I really want a very intense bright white. So when it comes to materials, that is what I'm using. I might whip out my ruler if I need it. Of course, tape if I need to tape anything down. And of course, once again, gray paper that I'm going to use. So this is my gray paper. I may go in with a heavy border with this paper. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think I might do that. When it comes to composition, I like this composition that's here, but I also like this because it's a little bit more intricate. So I don't, in this, I want to have the idea of perspective, but I don't want to have true perspective in this. So it's going to be a little wonky and crazy because this composition, I was trying to think of kind of geometric looking apples that were very abstract and very cubism-ish. And I wanted to just play with not so much light logic, but just the 4 different types of values that I can place. within the composition. So this is why I'm really interested in this composition. I think this is what I'm going to do. So long drawn out intro that is 14 minutes for no reason. Sorry about that, you guys, but definitely stay tuned for the next clip, because the demo is going to be the next clip. And hopefully all of this definitely does help with just kind of understanding what materials, the direction of where I'm going with this artwork and what I am doing. So I will see you guys in the next clip for the demo. Bye guys. Hey young artists, so I am popping in with a quick voiceover. So when it comes to this voiceover, when I was editing, I noticed that I did not talk too much about my composition. I was busy talking about my 4 tones in my composition, and I think I completely forgot to talk about my composition. So I wanted to pop in and talk about my composition. So the type of composition that I'm pretty much, our structure that I'm using was abstraction and also intervals. Keep in mind, intervals are not really 100% a structure, but it is something that you want to consider in your composition. So when it comes to, once again, intervals, that means that we're having different scales in our proportions within the composition. That makes it a little bit more intricate. Although my space is moving vertically up versus deep into space, I still want to make sure that I'm having intervals within my composition for that. Can you say that my composition falls under um, uh, using a clarity of shapes? Yes, you could say that, because my shapes are pretty clear. Also, I wanted to talk about when it comes to volume and mass, my actual composition for my objects in my composition has volume as well as it has mass. So my objects are taking up space, and also there are probably 1 to 2 objects in the composition that looks fairly heavy, and there's a contrast of objects looking fairly light. So when it comes to my objects, I wanted to render out some geometric apples. All honesty, they don't look like geometric apples to me. They look like boxes with leaves on top of them. But although what I had in my mind and what came out of my mind were 2 different things, I still love my composition, and I think it's a beautiful piece of artwork. So as you can see early, and I came in with my Prismacolor erase pencil. This pencil was basically for just getting my gesture and linear structure down. It's not much linear structure when it comes to this composition, but I just wanted a pencil that was going to be light enough on the gray paper that I can get the structure down. In certain areas, as you can see, I start to erase out my lines because I really want the actual values of the markers to be dominant and not my line work. So when it comes to some of the things that I was doing when it comes to the drawing, when it comes to the white planar shapes of the apples or the boxes, I was pretty much using my Prismacolor Premier pencils and also the Sharpie China white pencils. I was using that to get a more opaque white on the actual gray paper for certain planes, and also for the leaves as well, and to plug in some highlights in some areas that I may have drawn over with my markers. So this is actually my first time using grayscale markers on gray paper, and all honesty, I absolutely love it. It's actually quite fun. I believe these markers on this paper did not come in too streaky. Could I have done a better job applying the markers? Yes, but I actually love this process, and it moved a little bit quicker as well. So I just wanted to come in and talk about those things, because I noticed in my intro, although I was rambling, I didn't really talk about why did I end up with this end product for this actual thumbnail. So you guys, hopefully you got more than enough information in this voiceover. Other than that, continue watching the demo, and I will see you guys in the next clip. Bye, young artists.